This is the Wide Weekly for March 30th, 2026, catching you up on everything you missed in the Wide ecosystem and related to it. Here is what happened last week. On March 23rd, Larry Fink released his annual letter and devoted the entire thing to tokenization. BlackRock now manages $150 billion in digital markets. He called it the Internet in 1996. The law, he acknowledged, has not caught up. On March 24th, Neuralink demonstrated thought-to-speech for an ALS patient named Kenneth. His own voice. From his mind, 21 participants in the clinical program. On March 25th, a New Mexico jury ordered Meta to pay $375 million for failing to protect children on its platforms. Hours later, an LA jury found Meta and YouTube liable for addictive platform design. $381 million combined. In 2 days. One juror told reporters, "We wanted them to feel it." The same day, Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez introduced the AI Data Center Moratorium Act. Full stop on new construction until Congress passes AI safeguards. More than 100 communities have already enacted their own. Also, on March 25th, WAP launched Treasury. 21 million creators now earn DeFi yield through Aave without knowing it. No wallet, no gas fees. The Aave founder called it a landmark. On March 26th, Tether signed a Big Four accounting firm for its first full audit. $180 billion of USDT in circulation. Delaware introduced a bipartisan stablecoin banking bill. And the CFTC launched an innovation task force. The same day, David Sachs confirmed his 130 days as crypto czar are over. No replacement will be named. The Clarity Act hit Senate in April. Also, on March 26th, a federal judge blocked the Pentagon from banning Anthropic. She called the supply chain designation Orwellian. She called the retaliation classic illegal First Amendment suppression. On March 27th, Vance convened the first meeting of the White House Fraud Task Force. Half the cabinet in the room. $2 trillion in federal programs under review. A telemedicine owner pleaded guilty to $46 million in Medicare fraud the same day. Also, on March 27th, the SBA guaranteed 90% of loans for food supply chain businesses. The White House launched onlyfarms.gov, Golden Tractor on the South Lawn, and Snap Cuts kept rolling out. Meanwhile, we signed Feed the Children. Eat hit another all-time high, up 185.8% over 30 days. 47,000 on the card waitlist. The new money order is available for pre-order, and the first centralized exchange listing is locked. First, the build. Feed the Children is signed and official. Our national nonprofit partner. They operate across all 50 states and 9 countries. Forbes Top 100 Charities. BBB accredited. Charity Navigator 4 stars. Last year, they distributed $364.7 million worth of food and essentials and reached 14.9 million people. This partnership opens the door to co-sponsorship with their 60-plus corporate partners. PepsiCo, Amazon, Procter & Gamble, Tyson, Campbell's, Kraft Heinz. That pipeline is a major part of the growth strategy through the summer. The EAT token hit another all-time high, up 185.8% over 30 days. $3.22 million market cap, $32.2 million fully diluted valuation. And here's the thing. The broader crypto market is in extreme fear territory. Bitcoin is down 48% from its October high. The EAT chart keeps climbing like nothing happened. The new money order, Aaron's book, is available for pre-order and advance review at press.techbuzz.ai. Get on the list. Get your copy before it goes live. Now here is why all of that matters right now. On Friday, the SBA launched a 90% loan guarantee for small businesses in the food supply chain. Farms, processors, logistics companies, retailers. Groceries are nearly 30% more expensive than they were before the pandemic. The same day, the White House launched a site called onlyfarms.gov to track agriculture benefits by state. They put a golden tractor on the South Lawn. And the same week, SNAP work requirements kept rolling out across states. The Congressional Budget Office estimates 2.4 million people will lose food assistance in a typical month over the next decade. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act cut $186 billion from SNAP over 10 years. That is the largest reduction in the program's 60-year history. Veterans, formerly homeless individuals, parents with children over 14, adults up to age 65, all now required to prove 80 hours of monthly work to keep food assistance. Food banks are reporting demand at or above pandemic levels. So follow this. One arm of the government celebrates farmers, another guarantees loans for food businesses, and a third cuts the people those businesses are supposed to feed. Only Farms tracks the production side. No equivalent tracker exists for the consumption side, for the families deciding between groceries and rent as benefits shrink. Halfway around the world, a 15-year-old built a crowdsourced database mapping anti-business laws that suppress entrepreneurship and food access across Africa. Nigeria alone has 31.8 million people in acute food insecurity. The World Food Programme projects 318 million people facing crisis-level hunger globally in 2026. If the Middle East conflict continues through June, an additional 45 million could be pushed into acute hunger by price rises alone. This is the window we built for. Feed the Children operates in all 50 states and 9 countries. They reached 14.9 million people last year. The EAT model funds hunger relief automatically through trading fees and interchange. No fundraising galas, no grant cycles, no human discretion in the allocation. Every dollar tracked on-chain. The crisis is not slowing down. The infrastructure to address it has to be permanent, not seasonal. That is what we are building. Now, the systems that keep breaking. Vice President J.D. Vance convened the first meeting of the task force to eliminate fraud at the White House on March 27th. Half the cabinet was in the room. The scope covers Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and SBA programs, roughly $2 trillion in annual federal spending. AI detection tools are already deployed. They suspended 70 hospice providers in Los Angeles in a single week after AI flagged them as high risk. $259.5 million in Medicaid was paused from Minnesota over fraud allegations. Trump suggested $19 billion in fraud exists across federal programs. Separately, a telemedicine company owner pleaded guilty to a $46 million Medicare fraud scheme. Physicians signed orders for patients they never examined. The telehealth platform was the billing vehicle. The trust was the vulnerability. That number is worth sitting with. $46 million processed through a system that relies on provider attestation, not independent verification. When the attestation is fraudulent, the system just pays. And then the social media verdicts. 2 juries found Meta and YouTube liable in back-to-back cases for designing addictive platforms that harmed children. $375 million in New Mexico. $6 million in Los Angeles. $381 million combined in 2 days. Internal documents showed executives targeting preteens. One memo said 11-year-olds were 4 times as likely to keep coming back to Instagram compared with competing apps, despite the platform's minimum age of 13. A juror told reporters after the verdict, "We wanted them to feel it." Thousands of similar lawsuits are pending. This is the social media industry's big tobacco moment. The pattern is the same in every case. Medicare, social media, Medicaid. Wherever money or attention flows through systems that rely on human discretion and institutional trust, fraud or exploitation finds the opening. The question Wide keeps asking is structural. Can transparent on-chain infrastructure close it? On-chain, there is no attestation to falsify. No physician who never saw the patient. No internal memo that stays internal. The execution is the audit. The financial infrastructure kept moving too. Larry Fink compared tokenization to the internet in 1996. BlackRock manages nearly $150 billion connected to digital markets. Their Buidal fund is the largest tokenized fund in the world. $65 billion in stablecoin reserves. $80 billion in digital asset exchange traded products. He said half the world carries a digital wallet on their phone and asked investors to imagine if that same wallet could hold a diversified investment portfolio as easily as it sends a payment. But the legal barriers are specific. A 1982 tax statute imposing 30% withholding on tokenized bond interest. A 1941 custody rule designed for physical certificates. Missing statutory classifications. 66% of institutional investors cite regulatory uncertainty as the primary reason they have not deployed. Less than 0.1% of the world's assets are currently tokenized. The demand is real. The law has not caught up. 3 regulatory signals landed the same week. Tether signed a Big Four accounting firm for its first full audit. Over $180 billion of USDT in circulation. Delaware introduced a bipartisan stablecoin banking bill requiring one-to-one reserves and monthly audits. And the CFTC launched an innovation task force to build clear rules for crypto and fintech builders. The regulatory picture is filling in from multiple directions at once. But the White House just lost its crypto point person. David Sachs confirmed on March 26 that his 130-day term as crypto czar has expired. No replacement will be named. He moves to co-chair PCAST, the Presidential Science and Technology Advisory Council. That is an advisory body. It produces reports. It does not negotiate legislative text with Senate staff. The Clarity Act hit Senate Banking Committee in April. The most important stretch of crypto legislation in years just lost its chief advocate. And 21 million creators on WAP just became DeFi users without knowing it. WAP launched Treasury this week. Balances auto-convert to USDT zero stablecoins, route through Aave lending markets, and earn up to 6% annually. No wallet, no gas fees, no crypto vocabulary required. The Aave founder called it one of the biggest DeFi to fintech integrations ever built. Users see their balance going up. They do not see the 4-layer on-chain stack underneath. The infrastructure is invisible. The yield is not. That is exactly the model. That is what the EAT card does. The infrastructure disappears. The impact shows up. Anthropic drew a line this week, and a federal judge backed them up. The company refused to let the Pentagon use Claude for autonomous weapons or mass surveillance of Americans. The government's response was to label Anthropic a supply chain risk, a designation historically reserved for foreign adversaries and terrorists. Then Trump ordered all federal agencies to stop using the technology. Defense Secretary Hegseth spoke publicly about the company's arrogance and betrayal. The Pentagon's chief technology officer called the CEO a liar with a God complex. On March 26th, Judge Rita Lynn issued a preliminary injunction blocking all of it. She called the supply chain designation Orwellian. She called the retaliation classic illegal First Amendment suppression. She wrote that nothing in the governing statute supports the notion that an American company may be branded a potential adversary for expressing disagreement with the government. We covered this story when the Pentagon first made the designation. The update is that a federal court agreed. You cannot brand an American company a national security threat for saying no to surveillance. Innovation is not waiting for permission. A GitLab co-founder used AI to direct his own cancer treatment after standard care failed. He published his entire protocol publicly. Raw data, treatment deck, everything. His cancer is in remission. A developer used AI to design a custom mRNA vaccine for his dog's cancer from 300 gigabytes of sequencing data. University ethics approval would have taken until mid-2026. So he drove to an approved lab and got the injection done. The tumors shrank. Sam Altman met with him, called it amazing, said it should be a company. The developer is now building one. The bottleneck in both cases was not the science. It was the paperwork. Neuralink demonstrated its brain implant converting thoughts into speech for Kenneth Schock, an ALS patient who lost the ability to speak. The N1 implant captures neural signals and reproduces words in Kenneth's own voice from before ALS degraded it. 21 total participants across Neuralink's clinical programs. Automated surgery planned for this year. And on the other side, Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez introduced the AI Data Center Moratorium Act. Full stop on new data center construction until Congress passes AI safeguards. More than 100 communities across the country have already enacted local moratoriums. 12 states are pursuing statewide proposals, unlikely to pass a Republican Congress. But the tension between how fast AI is moving and how slowly Democratic oversight catches up is now a formal legislative fight. One more. Stephen Schwartzman, co-founder and CEO of Blackstone, plans to transfer the substantial majority of his $47.8 billion fortune to his foundation upon his death. AI, education, medical innovation would rival the Gates Foundation in scale. He signed the Giving Pledge in 2020 and cited urgent need. He has not announced a major new AI commitment since 2019. His foundation is currently valued at $65 million. The gap between promise and deployment is roughly 700x. 110 U.S. Giving Pledge signers are still billionaires 15 years after signing. The pledge is a promise, not a contract. Meanwhile, the EAT model has already funded over 10,000 meals through trading fees. No pledge required. The infrastructure either works or it doesn't. The ledger does not wait for estate planning. Quick market check. Bitcoin at $66,600, down 48% from its October all-time high. Ethereum at 1,995. The fear and greed index hit 12 out of 100. Iran conflict, oil above 90, inflation fears. Morgan Stanley filed for a Bitcoin ETF at 14 basis points, the lowest fee in the market. The infrastructure build-out is not slowing down even as everything around it pulls back. ET is at 0.00032221, up 185.8% over 30 days. New all-time high, $3.22 million market cap, over 10,000 meals funded. Feed the Children signed. First centralized exchange listing locked. Trade ET on Uniswap on Base. The new money order is available for pre-order at press.techbuzz.ai. Get on the list, that is the week. 18 stories, all connected by the same thread. The systems that ran on trust are breaking. The ones running on transparency are building. We are building them. This has been the Wide Weekly. See you next week.